Hello everybody, and welcome to the Terraverse Tours, Episode 1. These are going to be, special look-insides to my books that the Amazon look-inside does not necessarily show you too much. It might show you the map, which is what we're going to be discussing today, but it might not show you the back of the book, like the post-credit scenes and whatnot like that. I'm not going to talk about any spoilers and things like that, but there are some extra sections in the back that some of you might not know about and might wish to know about before purchasing the book. Or you might have already purchased the book, but you'd like me to discuss it a little bit more. I might make this one episode per book, but I might change that to shorter segments so that we could take closer looks to each portion of the book. For this one, we're just going to take a crash course look into each of the sections of this little doohickey right here. That's right, this is my very first book. A Perilous Beginning, Secrets of the Eldarii by M.R. Cole, yours truly. As you can see here, it's the Knocked in Tath Trilogy, Book 1. Now, the trilogy means we're going to have 3 books here. The next one we're working on is called Wrath of the Assassin, and I'm really fast at work on that. We're over halfway through. We've got just under 80 pages left to go, and once we get all that written up, we're going to do one final phase of editing. We're going to look through it. We're going to make sure I didn't have any mistakes, any careless errors that I didn't see in the first round. So, without further ado, let's stop talking about the next book and let's talk about this one. Now, as you can see, this is actually upside down. I'm actually looking at this upside down, but the webcam here is showing it to you right side up. So this might make it a little bit difficult for me to peruse through this thing because I'm looking at it upside down. First, on this page right here, is a dedication page. You guys might not know why this is in here, and some of you might, but while I was writing this book, someone very, very, very close to me passed away. He was really looking forward to this book, and I was too late. I was too late to get this to him in time before he passed. So I decided to add one extra page to this book, a dedication to my grandfather. That's why you see this in here, because this is a dedication to him. He wanted to get a copy of this book, but it just was his time. So that's the dedication page. I have another one here that I initially planned to put in here before he passed, so I kept this one in here, and I just made it a 2-pager here. It's not that big of a deal in regards to having 2 dedications, but this, I felt like I really needed to put this in here for him. So, let's take a look at another section here. The intros. You guys might wonder what these intros are. I decided to do it as a sort of a joke to it's a new idea almost. Why not, what if you had a character of your own series narrate the first section of the book, talk about it. I have an author's note here that I talk about here, a preface that I explain the book as M.R. Cole, but then here's another section here where Gistel, a character of mine who appears maybe later on in this season or the beginning of the next season. I cannot tell you for sure just yet, but keep an eye out on updates and whatnots in regards to when he's going to be showing up. But Gistel here explains a few little segments of whatnot for comedic purposes. The way he talks, he might make you laugh a bit. So, that's kind of funny. Right here we have the map. And I'm sorry if it's a little bit low quality. We tried to make it as best quality as we could with the ink that we had. But as you can see on the front here, one of the swords is missing. That, again, is not our fault. It's like an equality type thing. The publisher probably wasn't able to get the darker sword through the ink. Just like here, this map is a little bit darker, so the quality is a little bit harder to see, but you can see it if you look really close. You can't see it through the webcam. This is like a 7-year-old webcam. But I could see it just fine. When I'm looking at it like this, I can see all the names, all the towns. It looks just fine to me. But I do apologize for that. I'm going to try to go through and edit this map a little bit and brighten it. Just get it a shade brighter so that in the second book you might be able to read it a little bit better. This map here was made by a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, one of my oldest friends. Her name is, her username that she likes to use is called Scuzzy. Skuzzy. I have a mention to her in here. For copyright purposes, of course. She created this map here, and she created this cover. I like this cover. It looks really good. I hope you like it. I really like this map as well. It looks like a traditional fantasy map. So I'm very proud of this cover. I'm very proud of this map, and just really good job, Scuzzy. Really good job. As you can see here, I call it the Noctitath map, the Shari continent here, right? So this is basically where our trilogy takes place, and probably most of Season 1 is going to take place in the Shari subcontinent. You have, basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 major locations, plus the Lorzen Forest. Now, in the first book, I'm not going to spoil it, but primarily it takes place in this small little region here, Delston Village and the Lorzen Forest. In the second book, as I've mentioned in previous podcast and maybe in the next podcast we have scheduled for this week, I mentioned that the second book takes us down through the river to Roykap Village, right here. This is right beneath Delston. These are what we call the fringe villages, right here. These 3 right up here, these are the fringes of the Empire. As you get closer, you get to the interior here. These 4 are the major interior locations. There are quite a few other settlements dotted throughout that I did not necessarily mention because we don't visit those in the season. If you would like me to talk about these extra little villages and towns and settlements that are located in the imperial interior, then leave a comment and I'll see if I can talk about some of them. But for right now, we only have these 7 major locations to discuss because these 7 are the ones where Season 1 is going to primarily take place. Let's look at another segment here. If you haven't looked, I have a to be continued sign like usual, and this is like a little sneak peek into the next book. Those of you who already have the book, those of you who have already gotten the ebook, you have already checked this page out, but I recommend not reading this until you've read the book. I'm going to be putting one of these pages in every book at the end of the book to give you a sneak peek in the next book of the series, just to let you know that we're not done yet. We still have a lot to go. This is like a post-story note. I'm going to be discussing some things. I'm going to be thanking you for reading the book. Thank you for purchasing the book. So look forward to that. I'm going to have those in most of the books. And I'm going to have this to help you. This section is something a couple fantasy authors have done that I've been inspired to do as well, because this helps you to get to know who each person is. I have their name, what color their eyes are sometimes, their race, how to pronounce their name, and a little small short description of who they are. I have it in three type of groupings. You got protagonists, antagonists, and then you have the other. So I basically go over many of the major figures, many of the major players who take place in each book. I don't make mentions to minor characters. If you want me to, I'll put them in the other section in each of the following books. I'll put them in my other section. I'll make a short little how to pronounce their name, etc. But this is going to, I feel like this is going to help you out in learning about each of the characters, who they are, how to pronounce their names. So if you meet a new character while reading the book, and you go like, well, who is that? So you can go into the back of the book and see if I've written about it. And then you go like, oh, so that's how you pronounce the name, that's what they are, etc., etc. Okay, that makes sense to me. In the next section here, we have the Encyclopedia Glossarica. Like, I call it that. It's a really cool, it's a little decent little twist on Glossarica. But this is where I have definitions, explanations on what all the terms mean. So, like, any type of new city, new location that you see, any type of race, any type of foreign word, like an Elvish or the immortal language, the ancient tongue, I might have that in the back here. So if you don't know what something I mentioned it means, you can look at the back here and see if you can find it. Like for the first one here, I'll read this one out aloud for you. Delston Village. Delston Village, a small village on the fringes of the Mushari Empire, recently annexed into the fold within the past few decades. It's just a short, like, as you can see, it's just a short description of what each of these terms mean, so you don't get too confused. Because this is fantasy. This is a new world. You've never seen this world before. I have lots of new ideas, lots of new terms, new names, new races, lore, etc. And you might get confused. You might get lost. So this is to help you keep up. This is to help you keep track of what's going on, all the terms, so that you don't get too lost. I hope that helps you, because it helped me in a few fantasy books that I read. Then, of course, I have the about the author. I'm not going to put a picture here, but in future editions of the book, I'm going to have a little link to my newsletter, which I'm going to put below in this video, because all subscriptions to that newsletter really help me out. And you can keep up with all sorts of updates, special editions, events, even bonus content. Bonus content that I'm not going to be posting anywhere else. Like, anywhere else. It's not going to be going up anywhere else. You're going to be able, you will only be able to find it by subscribing to my newsletter. It's going to be right here in every other About the Author section in every new book. It's now in the ebook version of this book. You can find it when you buy the ebook version. You'll see the little link to my newsletter, sign up. All you gotta do is copy that link, put it in your Google search bar or the address bar, then it'll take you to a page where you could sign up to the book, and sign up to the newsletter. You just put your email in, then you get a confirmation email. That confirmation email will be sent to the whatever email you put in. It might be in your spam folder, it might not. Just go check it in, just go click a link, confirm the email, and you're ready to go. That's as easy as it gets. So, with that out of the way, I just gave you a quick little tour of Book 1. I didn't spoil anything of the content of the story, I didn't spoil anything like that. But I just gave you a little look inside to see what you can expect other than the story. This book is 315 pages. The story itself is, we got 304, sorry, this might take a minute. So 15, 304. The story itself is roughly 300 pages. The word count is 88,000. That in most books that are like 400 plus pages, I did some rough math calculations, those are roughly 80 to 85,000. So this book, even though it looks shorter, it looks like a shorter novel, the content is pretty big. Because when you look on each page here, I'll show you an example on one of the preface pages so that you don't get too spoiled. As you can see how I have it set up, I have a space that's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit wider, separating each paragraph. But then the spaces in between for each paragraph, they're smaller, so I could fit more content onto each page. But I kept the font size 11-point font to help you be able to read it better, because a lot of books that I have are in like 10-point font. So if you have eye troubles and you get the paperback, you might have a little bit of a trouble reading a 10-point font book. But if you get the paperback, you'll see it's an 11-point font. It's easier to read. It's easier to follow. It's more organized. So you'll be able to keep up. You'll be able to follow along. And I have about the same amount of content as a normal-sized book. The reason I do this is to cut costs on printing cost. Because I don't know if any of you know, but All books have a manufacturing cost that is included into the price of the book so that the manufacturer does not lose money in giving you this book. So for example, let's say a 300-page book has a $4.50 manufacturer's cost. That's the base price, and I cannot make the book any cheaper than $4.50. But actually, I can't actually. I have to add in the distribution cost, which is like the shipping and packaging and all sorts of things like that. There's a cost in that as well, which is basically like maybe 30% of the manufacturer's cost, just as a ballpark figure. So we add up a couple more dollars to that, and then we have to add Amazon's cut, which is a dollar or so for that. Then I add my royalty. I mean, I've got to make money off the book, right? It's my book, right? I've got to have something, right? I keep the same royalty for this as I get off the ebook, so you can tell how printing cost works when you have it published by purchase instead of mass market paperbacks. Mass market basically means you invest a sizable sum to manufacture a lot of them at once. Like say you want to make 10,000 copies of the book with a far cheaper per unit price because you're running the machines in one go. You can maybe it'll be like half the cost of a normal printing cost, or maybe it's even like a quarter of the cost. So that $4 will come to $1 per unit. That means they can charge their mass market paperbacks a little bit cheaper. Why am I talking about that? Because this paperback is $11.99 on Amazon.com. I have no power over that. As I look at other books, like other fantasy books like this, they are $9.99 at a bookstore. On average, they're $9.99. I wish I could make this book $9.99. I really do, but until I can get mass market publishing, we're gonna be stuck with what we got right now. And I hope that doesn't bother you too much. You're getting good content for your money. And every purchase really helps me out. It helps me out to get better quality in the books, better equipment for future projects. So everything helps me out in the long run. I hope you enjoyed this video though, and please be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out because as YouTube's new policy is when you make a new channel, you cannot get your own custom URL, as in like when you go to the Google search bar, you type in youtube.com/username or something like that. You can't do that on YouTube with new channels. You have to have at least 100 subscribers for you to get your own custom URL. So for right now, my own URL is like youtube.com/1341485azbabc blah 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 blah. It's messed up, but getting me at least 100 subscribers will help me get my own custom URL, and it just really helps me out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was a little bit informative. I hope you learned something. I hope you got a little bit interest in the book now. I did not script any of this. I just talked about this right off the top of my head, so sorry if I rambled on a little bit, but maybe it's entertaining for you. Who knows? But hopefully you check this book out. Hopefully you give it a chance. And next book comes out in a couple months. I hope you give that one a chance as well. So, take care, and as usual, keep on keeping on. See you later, guys.